Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the weekly technical momentum outlook for week 19 of 2016. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. Support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. All right, let's get into some charts here. Before we do that, let me go ahead and throw up the key that we are using, whether you're using the Thinkorswim platform. Three main charts that we use for the big picture here, covering a variety of different indices, ETFs, FX pairs, and market cap leaders. Looking at a 4-hour chart, daily chart, and weekly chart. Here we have the T3 moving averages, the 50 EMA, and the 144. Middle chart, the multiple moving averages, and then the last one, the Heikin-Ashi oscillating bar. You can find out more information through the weekly Technical Momentum Outlook newsletter, which I'll show you here in a little bit. This chart is also available for those of you that use the Sierra charts. There is no Heikin-Ashi oscillating study, so we use the T3 moving averages over here on the Sierra charts, as well as the multiple moving averages. All right, let's jump right into overall market conditions right now. Technical momentum outlook. Let's start with the VIX here. As we're rolling into week 19, we talked last week, week 18, looking at that 144 EMA, and there it was. All you had to see is the moving average simply held its line. You know that Friday session, we ended off with a nice move to the upside, at least on the futures and ETFs. So once again, now we're back down to the 50 EMA, so watch that resistance there, as we're pretty much in a gap here, so almost an indecision. Let's take a look at the SPX. Is price action here again. Week 18 to the downside. VIX coming down, giving a little bit of lift. So you want to watch for that 50 EMA upside. If the market's going to get any lift this week, the SPX here index will push above that 50 EMA and regain that traction in an already 50 above 144, which is a technical momentum to the upside. Taking a look at the dollar DXY. Whoop. Hang on us here a second, jumping ahead here. Yeah, let's just run by the SPX here on the three charts. And then we'll get to the dollar here in a second. T3 moving averages to the downside on the SPX. Same picture we just saw on the 4-hour. Multiple moving averages. As long as you see the blue turquoise ribbon above the yellow, you know you're in an uptrend. Bouncing off resistance, support, and price action bouncing to the upside. So the bigger picture on the weekly is this SPX index is holding upside, as well as the daily chart here now at the 50. Anything that will resurge, we'll see it first on the we'll see it on the intraday. The intraday with 4 charts in the green. Price action pushes back to the upside. Here we'll get the crossover back, and what we already have is an uptrend on all 3 charts. Multiple moving averages upside. We'll see the Heikin-Ashi oscillating move back up to the 100 level, and right here, as long as the intraday pushes up for an hour, we'll then see the daily bounce off there, regain its traction, and then weekly will continue to the upside. Let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar continues downside after resistance at the 50, continues the daily downtrend. Turquoise ribbons, multiple moving averages under the gold, indicating downside, but it is the weekly that still the dollar remains strong to the upside. So we'll see as the daily and 4-hour have lost its traction. You can either draw a Fibonacci retracement, look for any key levels that you might follow down below, but we have all the way down to 86.94 for the next major support in the 200 period moving average on the dollar. Taking a look at our XAU gold and silver. Is it holding upside? T3 moving averages well above the 50 144 here, the 50 and the 200 on both the daily and the weekly. Still very much holding upside, pretty strong here. Again, watch for that resistance here. 94.87 will show up here, as you saw a little bit of holding back here. Again, the real breakout here will be once the T3 moving averages cross back upside on the 4-hour. That's going to eventually push that daily, which will follow through on the weekly. Keep that level in mind. All right, running here into the XOI oils. Downside price action, we've seen the pullback in oil futures holding at key Fibonacci levels. T3 moving average, you'll want to look on the 4-hour chart here to 1085. Turquoise above the gold is still indicating right now bullish, not bullish, just an uptrend momentum here. But there it is. There's the resistance here, or support 1101 as price action holding here. And again, the resistance here on the weekly. So we hold here, bounce back upside. T3 moving averages on the 4-hour chart lift this week. That will push the oil up. You'll want to look next upside to the daily, weekly here, 13.99. That's both on gold and silver. Taking a look at the NYI. Price action here, New York Stock Exchange Index here. Price action, very similar picture as the SPX. Pullback here. T3 moving averages almost finding support, but look at that. Finally, a nice crossover on the daily this week. T3 moving average, we talked about that last week as the T3 moving average is pulling back, as we see here on the 4-hour, but it's the 50 above the 144, 50 above the 200 period moving average, and the breakthrough above the 50. So indicating some momentum. Get those gold ribbon, turquoise ribbons above multiple moving averages to keep that strength. Otherwise, if we continue to fail down here, look for the next levels down. 4-hour chart first. Then you look to your daily chart, and then we'll look through also for as well as whichever moving average is closer. That's the one you want to keep in mind. All right, let's jump in. Total stock market index, IWT, T3 moving averages coming downside. So the bigger picture, losing some ground here. Tried to break above that 50, even though we're in an uptrend with some difficulty. So we're going to wait for that 50 period moving average, the T3 moving averages on the 4-hour chart to see if she can lift again. Because we've already broken downside on the daily as well. So if we continue to downside, next level looking down here, 130.87 on the stock market index. Taking a look at XLF, the financials, price action here. T3 moving average is downside, finding that support at the 50 period moving average. 144 still downside. Here you can see the pullback. Watch for the 50 period moving average. If she continues to push down here right now, a little confusion going on in the daily. Momentum not yet upside. We got green and green on the green 4-hour and the weekly, but daily still stretching and trying to get back up there. We'll see what happens this week. Taking a look at XLK on the price action downside on the ETF. T3 moving average is way downside, pulling that 51.44 to the downside. T3 moving average is also pulling back here on the daily and still finding support here at the 50 period moving average on a 5200 with still a wonderful open gap to the upside. All right, taking a look at, let's see what we got here next. Taking a look at the diamonds. Diamonds price action to the downside here. And again, by the way, XLK again very much masking a lot of Apple's action that we'll see here in just a couple of minutes, and the triple Q as well as price action coming down, but they've already crossed over to the downside, so a little bit deeper in the red on the ETF for the technology sector. Again, you can always look at the newsletter for more of the ETFs in the industrial leaders. Taking a look at the diamonds, let's run through the ETFs on the indices here. Diamonds, again, picture as we looked over on the futures market. T3 moving averages crossing down. Look for the 144 support here downside. But first comes to mind the daily over here, 175.31, finding first level of support as the bigger picture here on the Dow 30 weekly still holding to the upside. So still pretty strong. It's going to be pretty big decision week, or else we hold sideways as the YM futures resisted right at the 50 EMA on a 4-hour chart. So if she's to follow like the NQ, simply going to make a stall and make a 180 and come right back down. Taking a look at the FXE here, the euro price action again for the most part is the futures. We have been downside. A big picture on the euro has been downside, but she's holding up a daily and 4-hour. Here we go. T3 moving average is pulling back. Watch for the 50 for support here. We're still in a pretty big, strong uptrend here on the oscillating as well, and almost found that support there at the 50 EMA on the daily as well. So confidence that the euro is still holding upside for now. Probably most likely to reverse if the U.S. markets push up. All right, here looking at the TF Russell, finding that support down here, 109.39 just about. And on the 50 and the 200 here, right here on the TF IWM, at the daily as well. Resistance here upside towards the 50 period moving average, so keep that in your scopes. All right, looking at the triple Q again, same picture we just saw in the tech sector. Industrial leaders, T3 moving average downside. Again, not looking good on the oscillating as it's red, but the bigger picture is still green, as we can see all the way across here, 100. T3 moving averages, a little bit of a pullback, but it's again 50 still above the 200. Watch that daily and 4-hour chart. That's giving us the trouble right now. Take a look at the SPY as the SPX as well. Price action T3 pullback. 50 still above the 144 all across the board. Still very much big side trend, but it's the daily and the week, daily and the 4-hour losing a little bit of that strength. So watch for the 50 to hold here on the daily. If not, we'll come down here to 201.37, which will just be right after the 4-hour chart. We'll see if that holds and level. If we really drop, look for that 183.22, and obviously that will shift as the time goes on. Taking a look at the gold sector, ETF 51.44 still holding strong above both there and on the daily. Gold still T3 moving averages pulling back upside in what's been a very big downtrend. So again, you don't want to wait for this completely turn around on a weekly to get back in. Follow the 4-hour chart, follow up on the daily, and then the weekly will eventually pull back upside. But again, would I want to get into an ETF when I simply rejected right there on the 50? No, I'd wait for the pullback and right back upside and break through. That was the momentum right there. Taking a look at the USO oil futures ETF here, T3 moving average pullback upside, holding above the 51.44. Momentum all across the board except for the weekly, still the downside. We know the oil sector to be downside, so where do I get into oil long? Well, if you're looking off the lows, I mean, there were indicators off the lows, but again, look for pullbacks on the 4-hour. Price action breaks upside, put the stop at the swing size, and manage on the way up. If we're still holding above the 51.44 here, we are holding above on the 50 on the daily, so still looks like we still have some strength. Careful on the futures, though. We do have daily gaps to the downside that we might eventually go get close those out. Watch that USO here as we migrate towards not only the 50 but crude to the 1206 here as well. If we continue to the upside, T3 moving average will hold upside on that 4-hour chart. All right, taking a look at the emerging markets. Emerging markets have been slowing down here. T3 moving averages, and already what we have a green market on a 4-hour, but definitely there's your resistance right there on the weekly. So watch that price action on the 50 period moving average. Nothing complex here, Jedi Trader, just straight up moving averages as we see the emerging markets on a daily also pulling back. So look downside as with the resistance it's here and we continue downside. Either wait for the pullback and then come back down, or look for the intraday setup as well. Looking to go long, this might not be the best of times yet. Taking a look at the TLT 20-year bond, price action T3 moving averages crossing back upside. Great way to get into ZB, get into the bonds on an intraday futures. Trends very nicely. 50 is above the 144 and 50 above the 200. So everything green on the bonds. Jump into the market cap leaders. This price action on the Apple coming down. Not looking at Apple for any long right now, but there it is. There's some resistance, 93.05. So that might be a potential for a low. Let's see if price action on the T3 on the 4-hour chart gives us a green lift this week, which should help the daily. But then again, you'll want to look upside to the 50 on a daily, look to the 51.44. It's going to take a lot for Apple to break back upside now. All right, taking a look at Amazon. Amazon and Facebook still very well strong in the green. Break off the 50 here on an intraday pick. You got an early entry. Could have rode this up. Very nice pick. Doesn't take anybody to tell you that other than just looking at the charts. T3 moving averages all across the board holding upside. There she is together with the Amazon, the Facebook holding upside here. T3 moving averages holding upside. 50 above 144, 50 above the 200s as well. Multi-moving averages upside. So looking upside again, look for the intraday solid body tail up. Pullback, or just wait for the next pullback off one of the major moving averages. You might have yourself a good long entry. Google struggling here, but this is what we're looking for on the Apple. Again, T3 moving averages come back upside. Watch for the resistance, but there you go. A little bit of support off the 200 on the Alphabet Goog here on a daily. But if we continue to do nothing more than a pullback and hit these resistance moving averages, look for Google to find that support here at the 50 period moving average. Running into Netflix again. Netflix having a little bit of struggle down here. T3 moving average is downside, getting a little competition out there. Multi-moving average is downside. HA Colt studies downside, not looking good for the Netflix. Looks like the short has more power to the downside right now. And wrapping up our market cap leaders, Starbucks to the downside, T3 moving average is downside, 50 below 144. Daily not looking good right now, but looking like we have a little bit of support here on the weekly. So we'll wait to see if the market bounces together with the overall indices. Again, market cap leaders might just move it for us, but it's going to take a little bit to get these up, and then you want to watch for the resistance here on the 4-hour chart. Again, any of this is always available to trade intraday. We'll wrap up with that. Again, here we see a couple of the FX pairs, Euro USD coming downside. Resistance at the 50 doesn't look good for the Euro as price action now in the gap of the 50 144, but still holding upside on the daily and the weekly. So again, see if we get the resistance down here, 1.1359, or if not, bounces here, lifts back up, crosses above T3 moving averages. That's your point of entry. And then the pound USD, same picture. That's what you're looking for in the euro. See what happens here. If we get the support here and bounce back upside, T3 moving averages cross back upside, we'll get green labels all across the board, which will eventually turn that daily and the weekly. We got a long way to go before we get to the upside. All right, looking at the total stock market index here on the VTI, T3 moving averages downside. Price action under the 50 and the 144. Here we go. Daily come downside. Excuse me if I said total stock market index before. I apologize. That's not what we were looking for. And if I make that correction, actually we were looking at what I believe was the let me look here. Give me a second. I believe we were looking at IWT. That's right. We're looking at transports. So I do apologize on that. We were looking at industrials and transports. So, all right. We'll get that corrected next week. Anyway, as we roll into total stock market index here, T3 moving averages to the downside. Total stock market index finding support here at the 50, as well as to the upside, still daily pretty strong. And look at the IJR, mid-cap 600, one of my favorites, Jason Kelly's strategy here, balancing between the IJR and a bond fund, looking at once per quarter. But those of you looking to enter, again, you want to look for that support down here at the 144. Finding that support at the 50 on a daily, that's good news. Still holding upside on a weekly, so still holding strong up here. So again, pullback entry. But again, if you're going based on the Jason Kelly strategy, you want to simply just wait for 3 months to come around at the quarter and then make a decision based on whether you made that 3% or not. And if you're more interested in that information, you can always go to jasonkelly.com. But again, great index to follow. And moving forward here. All right, taking a look at the IBD, Investors Business Daily, as they looked at some key earnings coming out this week. JD.com here. Now, this is one of the tools that I use by looking at the bigger picture of how do I merge everything together. Again, this available not only on the Thinkorswim platform, you can use this on the Sierra charts as well. Price action here on the right-hand side shows what we've been looking at, both the 4-hour chart and the daily, as well as the bigger picture on the 50 and the 200 period moving average. But when you mix it with the intraday, that's right, here the intraday picture on the left, together looking at the bigger picture on the right. So here we see JD.com, again, T3 moving averages downside on the daily. 4-hour chart is downside, so current trend downside. Looking to go long, well, that's going to be a struggle here. Again, anybody looking for the lows, that can always be a possibility. But here we go. T3 moving averages are starting to cross upside on a 50-tick range chart. Again, you can always go to a lower time range chart, but looking at stocks here, 50-tick range chart. Look at the bigger time frame. 100-tick range chart remains downside. Heikin-Ashi indecision bar. This is not an optimal entry time, as the right now you have more factors leading downside than you do to the upside. Again, here a 15-minute chart will help you put you into the trade. If you get a T3 moving average crossing up, up. 50 above 144 and in the green. You'll find that on the 50-tick range chart. That would be the signal to enter long. Once you have that, you'll follow through on the 100-tick range chart, which will pull that 4-hour chart, but look for that resistance to the upside. So right now, technical momentum on JD.com still to the downside. Take a look at NVIDIA. Also, I believe earnings coming out. T3 moving average is coming downside. 50 below. And again, if I don't have my information correct there, please take a look. But I believe I had that right. Either way, that's if you're looking to go long. Same picture here. NVIDIA still 50 above the 200, 50 above the 144 on a 4-hour chart, and finding that resistance here, 50 at the daily, finding the support at the 50. So what that tells me right now is that NVIDIA is holding up strong. So what you want to see is the 15-minute chart to break above that 144 on a 15-minute chart. The T3 moving averages will push upside. You'll get a 50 above the 144. The 100 tick will follow, but it will be the 50 tick range chart that will have the solid body Heiken Ashi bars upside. Once this goes green here, you'll have a 15-minute green. There's your signal to go long as you're finding that support here. So keep an eye out for NVIDIA. So my technical outlook here is, again, if you can get that 50-tick range chart and the 15-minute chart to get and push back upside, you can go. That would be a good technical green there as the bigger picture on a 4-hour and a daily holding up. All right, looking at Disney again. Disney, I know with earnings out this week, T3 moving averages on a 50, holding up Thursday and Friday. 100-tick range chart in the green. Disney on a 15-minute chart. That's what you're looking for on those other two charts. You're looking for that crossover. The 50 above the 144 on a 15-minute chart over the course of 2 days puts you in the long. You see a little bit of resistance already here at the 200 period moving average, as well as on the daily chart, as these are the two same charts, but already pushing upside in the 4-hour. That's a good sign. Disney to the upside. And we already covered Apple. Again, Apple struggling to the downside. That was the 4-hour and the daily picture as a 52-week low down here at 91.85. But again, we continue to hit that 50 period moving average on a 15-minute chart. The 100-tick range chart downside, but take a look at that 50-tick range chart on the Apple, and yep, you get a little bit of lift there, but do I go long? No, I don't, unless that 15-minute chart is following through. Again, maybe for the short-term trader for a couple days there, but until my 50 and my 100 are in sync together with the 15-minute, I'm only looking at that point for the green. Again, eventually we know Apple will come up, probably most likely close that gap and at least push itself up to that 50 period moving average. All right, there's our VIX again. So again, the pictures that we just showed you, again, that is available on Sierra charts as well. Here's a picture as well. It was a couple weeks ago, but again, you get the 4-hour chart, you get the daily chart. Here's the 200 as well, and here you got your 15-minute chart. Again, you can change these to the time frames that you wish for an intraday pick as well. All right, that concludes, I believe, our market outlook, the technical momentum outlook on some key industries here. Again, when you want to put that all together, the 4-hour chart with the daily, weekly, with the intraday. Where could you find all more information? Well, go ahead and click on the futures, ETFs, and market cap leaders, where you go ahead and you find the markets covered here, including just a little brief momentum for the week ahead. Capture my video on the futures recap outlook video, and as well, go ahead and click on the weekly supplemental technical momentum outlook there, which each week I go ahead. I haven't posted it for this week, but you just go ahead and click on the link here, the weekly supplemental or the chart below, and up comes the document with a link to this video as well, and many of the charts that you just saw in this video publication. All right. Feel free to stop by tradingfibs.com, any of my social media outlets, to obtain more information as we roll into this week. Where's our econ data? Looking a little bit light for Monday and Tuesday as we roll to the end of the week, a little bit heavier with econ data, as well as next week FOMC minutes, and as we roll into monthly contract rollover. My trading mantra of one simple strategy: any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at Trading Fibs, and as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. You can find me trading only what's in front of me on my charts. And as always, I leave my bias at the door when trading. Have yourselves a blue zone week, everybody. Have yourselves a good day, a good night, and good trading.